Hey peeps, this is DarwyBfW. Today I'm going to rank my favorite factions in Wesnoth. I won't rank them by how strong they are, but by my personal preference. What faction do I like to play the most, and what faction do I like to play least? So it's not about what I think the strongest faction is, but more about what my favorite factions in general are. And also, I didn't include the Caliphate. I've never really played them, and I also don't consider them to belong to the Wesnoth world. I don't understand why the developers came up with them. They probably thought that after such a long time a new faction was needed, but they don't fit in at all in my opinion. Before we start the video, let's hear a word from the sponsor of this video. This video is sponsored by Safe Scumming. Get the best experience out of Wesnoth by using the lamest tactic in the game. Use my code GOBACK to turn 27 in order to have your red mage hit all 4 times. Let's not waste any time and start right with the faction that I like to play the most. And that would be Northerners. Again, this video is not about what the strongest factions are, but about what factions I personally like to play the most. And fair enough, the Orcs are really strong, but there are factions that could easily outplay them. Nevertheless, I love to play them the most, and I don't even know the exact reason why. I mean, when we look at the history of Wesnoth, they are the bad guys. I know, some of you want to say, Orcs are totally misunderstood. They didn't create the portals to have them come into our world. It's not their fault. And you know what? I get that. But let's be honest here. They just want to destroy and kill people. So why do I like to play them the most? Maybe because the Grunts are strong units and they only cost 12 gold? Or maybe because they have those cute green creatures called Nagas who can fight in water? Or because their assassins have the poison ability? Or because their archers can shoot flame arrows? Or maybe because of all these reasons? Probably. Next up, we have the Knalgan Alliance. Why did they have to invent all these different names? They could have just called them Orcs and Dwarves and Elves, but okay, I get the reason why. And regarding this faction, the reason would be that they not only have Dwarves in that faction, but also Outlaws. The only ones that are not in it are Thugs. Sorry for them. I couldn't even really decide between the Northerners and the Alliance. Because the Outlaws are a really cool addition to the Dwarves. It's the best feeling to have a thief kill enemy units with their backstab ability. And Poachers are really neat too. If you have them level up, you can decide between some sort of weird looking Robin Hood guy and a sword fighter with a bow. But enough for the Outlaws. I know, a lot of Wesnoth pro players say that the Knalgan Alliance is actually the strongest faction because of the Dwarves alone. They are pretty strong units. They even have those steadfast guys. And those So yeah, I get their point. But Dwarves are slow units. Most of them have only 4 move points per round. They have no or weak ranged weapons, and these guys with a thunder stick are a joke. You can't tell me that they don't have just a 50-50% chance to hit. So all in all, I wouldn't consider them to be the best faction in the game at all. Now let's talk about the actual strongest faction in the game, the Undead. Of course, this is just my personal opinion, but don't a lot of other Wesnoth players think that too? The Undead have strong fighters. Dark Adepts are by far the best mage units in the game. You can poison your enemies with their ghouls, and you can even raise the dead and have them fight on your side. But you can also drain life from living creatures, and you won't have any problem to get a lot of villagers. Do I really have to say anything more? The only reason I didn't place Undead at the top was because winning by playing them is no challenge. You see, Undead are a lot better than Dwarves. You have so many special abilities, what do you want more? Oh yeah, maybe a melee weapon for the Dark Adepts. Come on, at least a small dagger. Or why don't they just use their fists? And there's also another faction that is good against the Dwarves. The Rebels. They only need their bow and most of the Dwarves don't have a chance. I definitely don't want to hate on Dwarves. In terms of Wesnoth history, I like Dwarves much more than Elves. But if this video would have been about what the strongest factions are, I would have ranked the Elves higher than the Dwarves. I don't even need Shamans, just give me the Fighters and the Archers and I'm good to go. They have a 60 and 70% resistance on forests respectively. And when you level up your Archers, you can screw that Robin Hood guy. These are the real Robin Hoods of Wesnoth. Shamans are one of the only level 1 units that can heal other units. And you can level them up to level 4. The only thing I don't understand here is why this faction has human mages. But yeah, you only need forest terrain and some archers, and enemy orcs or dwarves will be dead in a second. Let's continue with the next faction, the Loyalists. Elves have their bows, dwarves their axes, drakes have their fire, orcs their strength, undead are overpowered, and humans, they are just, well, humans. What I'm trying to say is, humans aren't the best at anything. Okay, maybe they have the best magical attacks, but what truly makes them stand out in Wesnoth is that they are so diverse. And that's what many Wesnoth beginners like to point out. Humans are unique, they have every weapon type in their faction. Except cold, I think. Blade and pierce for the cavalrymen and archers, impact for these slow guys right here, and fire and arcane for the mages. They even have mages who can teleport themselves onto other villages. And fencers are cool skirmishers, let's not forget that. All in all, if you play the Loyalists, you have everything you need to succeed in Wesnoth. But somehow, all this, let's say, diverse decentness makes them kinda boring to me. Yeah, humans can be stronger than orcs and dwarves, but whenever I play them, it just feels like the same old stuff again. But again, they already have that variety, so actually they don't need anything new. Sorry guys, I don't even understand it myself. And the faction that I like to play the least is, unsurprisingly, Drakes. Every faction in Wesnoth has its own way how to win. Elves, orcs and dwarves have unique strong weapons, or are just strong in general. Humans have their diversity, and undead are very hard to kill if you don't have the right weapon type. But Drakes, Cold or Arcane, you'll kill them. Pierce or Blade, you'll kill them. Impact, you'll probably kill them. The only units Drakes are really good against are Voses, and the reason why is pretty obvious. Tree. Yes, you can win if you play Drakes. I even played matches against other players in which they played the Undead while I played the Drakes, and I managed to win. But in general, if you play the Undead and your opponent plays Drakes, it's already a win for you. You shouldn't use Skeletons against Drakes, that would be dumb, but you only need Dark Adepts and you'll win the match. Sure, they could get killed by the Drake's blades, but come on guys. And it feels like Drakes never really hit either. It just seems like the developers couldn't decide in which faction a Drake would best fit in. After all, they could only come up with 6 units for the faction. Orcs already had Nagas, elves had Voses, humans were already too unique, dwarves were already too strong, and the undead? What? And then the developers noticed that they also forgot to put the Saurians into one of the factions, so in the end they decided to create an own new faction for these 2 races. All these strong factions, and then there's this big jump downwards to the Drakes. Don't get me wrong, I love the fact that Wesnoth has so many unique races. A campaign can be more exciting if you find yourself a Drake as friend, and annoying your opponent with Saurian skirmishers can be really fun. But with only 6 units in the faction and weak resistances, you already know that you'll lose the match at the beginning. Try to get a lot of villages with your Drake gliders. Okay guys, I hope you had fun watching this video. If you have any video ideas for me or what challenges I should play in Wesnoth, please let me know. Bye!